How to become a better colorist and have loyal clients who rave about you. Let me give you a little hint, taking advanced education classes and finding inspiration are not enough. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name's Lauren. I'm a national color educator, and on my channel, I give away free resources to hairstylists who want to grow their brand and business and technical skills. So if any of that interests you, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. In this video, I'm going to break down some of the most important aspects of being an amazing colorist. Color can be extremely exhausting and extremely intimidating and frustrating at times, especially because we probably thought that once we graduated hair school, we'd have it figured out and we could easily formulate and make clients just completely happy. Well, once you graduate hair school, you realize that's not the case, and color is actually a lot more complicated and requires a lot more experience than just understanding the basics. And one of the things that we're lacking as hairstylists, I believe, is confidence. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to be a more confident colorist and also how to get more beautiful and, more importantly, more predictable results. Because I truly believe that predictability in color is what makes you more confident and less stressed out when you're doing color. The number one most important thing in becoming a better stylist is to master the basics. Can you recite the remaining pigments of each level of lift? Do you know how much natural pigment needs to be in your formula if you're trying to cover 20% gray? Which colors neutralize or enhance remaining pigments? What's the difference between permanent color, demi-permanent color, and semi-permanent color? Now, we all know that mastering the basics is extremely important, but sometimes we get so busy with taking all these clients that we don't take the time to go back and study so that you're able to better apply these principles in your everyday formulations. So there's two things that I always do whenever I'm trying to master a subject. And number one is study, number two is educate. Now with the first one, study, sometimes it could be really overwhelming deciding where to start. So what I would do is just pick one topic. If you can't do it, if you can't decide, if you can't narrow it down, just take your pencil, close your eyes, and pick a topic. Study that topic 10 minutes every day before you go to work. Wake up 10 minutes early, study that topic for a week, move on to the next topic the next week. If you create discipline behind your studying, you're gonna be able to retain the information so much better. And the better that you can retain the information, the more you will have it at your fingertips when you are formulating, and you can draw from that information when you're creating those formulations. The next thing you could do is take advantage of free resources. On my channel, I have a bunch of free balayage videos that you can check out in the link below. But when you are utilizing these free resources, most of the time they're meant to be very entertaining. They're meant to give you before and after results quickly. They kind of target a short attention span. However, you can get lots of information from these videos as long as you do it right. So when you're watching these videos, like for example, if you're watching my balayage and foliage videos, I'm giving you all of the information you need to be successful doing this, and I also answer questions. But what you need to do is make sure that you're taking notes throughout watching the video, because you may think that you're retaining the information, but odds are you probably aren't, and you're not going to give it a second thought when you go to apply these principles and these new things that you're learning to the clients in your chair. You're probably just going to fall back on what is comfortable to you. So if you take notes while you're watching the video, think about it, practice it on mannequins, practice it on models. That is how you're really going to grow and learn. So online education, free education is not bad. A lot of people say, I'm a hands-on person, I can't do online education. You absolutely can. It just takes discipline. That's really the only difference. You have to be able to have the self-discipline and self-ambition to practice it yourself. And if you have questions, reach out to the person who's providing that education. If you reach out to me, I'd be happy to help. So another free resource that is amazing, and every color line provides this, pretty much, is a swatch book. Swatch books actually go over all of the basics of hair color that you need to know. I don't know if you've ever looked through a swatch book or through a color book, but they actually give you all the information. What do developers do? What do pigments look like at each level of lift? All of those different things can be found in a color book and in pretty amazing detail as well. And another way you can get free education is through Google. You can pretty much learn anything online. I know that a lot of stylists are going to hate on me for saying this, but you can pretty much learn anything online if you have discipline and you make sure that you do your research and fact check and make sure that the information that you're getting is completely accurate. So utilize all these free resources, just make sure that you have some discipline. And of course you can take advanced color classes, but what I would suggest is discipline yourself to take advantage of free education and really strengthen your skills that way before you take advanced color education classes. Because if you can't discipline yourself to practice and perfect the skills that you learn in free education, you're gonna spend a lot of money on advanced education and not actually get anything from it. So if you wanted to join my Color Academy, it's actually down in the description below, and YouTubers get 10% off. Anyways, my second favorite way to master the basics of color is to actually educate my clients. So every time that I'm with a client and they're explaining to me their concerns with hair color, I always make sure to draw from my basic knowledge of hair color and explain and educate them on why they're not getting the result that they wanted or what they need to do in order to achieve the result that they wanted. For example, a common concern, and I'm sure you've heard this all the time, every time I get highlights, my hair is so brassy, I don't know what to do. So when a client tells me that, I will actually explain to them why this is happening. I'll say, okay, well, the reason it's brassy is because it's not getting lift past level 8. At level 8, the remaining pigment is yellow-orange. So when your toner fades, this is the pigment that's gonna be exposed when your color fades. And when I do this, clients actually love it. It's helping me, but they actually love it, and you're positioning yourself as an authority on what you're doing to your clients as well, and that is infinitely valuable. All right, so we just covered how to master and study the basics. So the next topic that is super important to becoming a better colorist is to master the consultation. So when you're doing a consultation, there's 3 questions that you want to draw from your clients. The first is, what color services have they had done in the past, or chemical services at all? For example, they could have a perm or a straightening treatment. You want to know those things before doing any hair color. The second thing you need to know is, what is their end result? Where are they looking to go with their hair color? And then in your consultation, you want to come up with a plan in order to close the gap between where they are right now and where they want to go. And this is kind of like your closing pitch for what you're going to do with their color. And in that kind of closing line and closing plan, you want to try and re-emphasize the concerns that they had first coming into the color consultation, so that they're aware that you actually care about their concerns and trying to fix it for them. And the next thing that you want to get out of a consultation with your clients is you want to level the expectations. Don't overpromise. There's so many factors that go into getting the end result that they want. So you want to make sure to level the expectations. And I do this in 2 ways. First, I have to make sure that I kind of bring them down a notch if their expectations aren't realistic. And this can feel really hard to do sometimes, because as stylists, we just really want to please our clients. And it's just the weirdest, most awkward feeling trying to tell them, okay, that's probably not going to happen, because you want to be the answer, you want to be the magician, and you want to be their hero. But it's so much better if you just kind of level those expectations out and bring them down a notch and tell them what you can do and tell them what's going to be more realistic for their hair. And number 2, my favorite principle in anything I do is under-promise and over-deliver. So if you tell them, okay, so because of these things going on in your hair, we may not be able to get you this light on the first visit, but if you keep coming in, we're going to keep aiming toward that goal every single time. However, I just can't promise it on the first time because there's so many factors that go into it. And most of the time, they will appreciate you being realistic with them and you being honest with them, and then knock it out of the park. Do the best possible job you can and do even better than what you thought you could achieve in the first place. The next topic that I want to discuss surrounding becoming a better colorist is inspiration. Now, everybody knows that inspiration really encourages people to grow and develop their craft. However, these days, inspiration can be so fleeting that it doesn't ever actually lead to any action. We're scrolling through Instagram all day, we see beautiful work and we think, oh, I'm gonna do that. But then, like, in an instant, we're on to the next photo on Instagram and the cycle continues, and then you get bored and burnt out, you put down your phone and nothing ever happens. Jim Rohn, American entrepreneur, author, and motivational speaker, said this: "Don't let your learning lead to knowledge, let your learning lead to action." So the important thing about inspiration is you can't just look at it and let it go in one ear, out the other, or in your brain and then disappear. You have to actually take action. Earlier in my career, I would find myself scrolling through Instagram. It was a lot newer back then, so there's all these kinds of amazing artists on there. There still are amazing artists, but they were all kind of coming about, starting to get big. So many trends were just at my fingertips. There were so many of them though that I would just keep scrolling, and then I would just my brain would kind of be overwhelmed and I wouldn't know where to start, and I didn't take any action. So it's very important that when you're inspired by something, you take action. So here is what I suggest. When you're scrolling through Instagram, keep going until you find a photo or a video or something that someone says that really, really inspires you, some artist that you follow that really inspires you, and stop. Take a minute to contemplate what you love about it, why this thing inspires you. Put down your phone, don't keep scrolling. I promise you there's always gonna be more photos to look at, but you wanna just concentrate on one thing at a time. Otherwise, nothing's gonna get done. So how do you do this? How do you actually take action when you're feeling inspired? Well, number one is you wanna take notes. Like I mentioned this before, when you're watching tutorials, getting free education, you wanna make sure you're taking notes so that you're absorbing the information. Same thing when you feel inspired by something. And then when you start to take notes, you'll realize that more ideas are gonna come into your head about how you can maybe do this technique even better, or how there's a certain client that you're thinking about that you could do this technique on. When you take notes, it inspires so much more brainstorming and so much more creativity. And then you'll actually be able to execute these things that inspired you in the first place. Okay, so the last step to becoming a really amazing colorist is to put the reps in. Just like in exercise, you're not gonna get strong if you don't put the reps in. So you wanna practice, practice, practice. Practice gives you experience, and experience gives you confidence. And there's nothing more attractive to prospective clients than a confident stylist. So one reason a lot of stylists don't spend a majority of their time practicing their skills is because a lot of times you could get frustrated and hit roadblocks, and that's when you become a stylist that kind of doesn't really think outside the box and doesn't try new things. But what they don't realize is when you stumble and hit roadblocks, that's when creativity really skyrockets. So once you hit roadblocks and you stumble, you have to really get creative in order to solve those problems. And once you do that, you just develop all these amazing experiences that you can then transfer to your clients. And this is where true innovation really happens. It's that failure and then picking yourself up, problem solving, and just feeling so much more confident that you can actually accomplish something. And then also, the more that you stumble through something and really struggle through it, the more you're going to be able to innovate new techniques, new methods. That's when you really become your own stylist with your own principles, your own philosophies, and that's when your career is really going to take off, because you're doing things that maybe other people hadn't thought about before, or maybe they hadn't taken the time to struggle through it and come up with solutions like you have. And I'm a perfect case study for this, because being somebody who has failed a lot, who has really struggled with color in the past, I was able to create my own methods by just doing so much practice, working on models, working on mannequins, putting so much practice in, and just conquering every obstacle that got in my way. And it turns out so many other people are having these same obstacles, so I was able to create solutions not only for my clients but for other stylists, and that's how I kind of got into education. Alright, so just to kind of review all this information, I know it was a lot, so hopefully you were taking notes during this, but just to review, number one is you want to master the basics. Make sure that you are extremely skilled, you're able to educate your clients so that you can further drive that information into your head, make it accessible every time you're formulating color. And then number two, you want to master the consultation, and it really boils down to making sure that you get as much information from the client as possible about their hair history, making them feel comfortable about the plan that you guys are going to accomplish together, and make sure to under promise and over deliver. You can't go wrong. And then for inspiration, you want to make sure that your knowledge is becoming action. So when you're inspired by something, stop, take a minute, spend some time with the information, get familiar with it, and actually make sure to try to perfect the new things that you're learning. And of course, the last one is make sure to put the reps in. Practice, practice, practice. And I know that's so obvious, but the more you practice, the more you're gonna create innovative solutions for solving those roadblocks that are in front of you. So tell me in the comments which of these things you're going to try and master first. Let me know in the comments below. To learn how to make 6 figures as a hairstylist, click here. To learn how to get more clients behind the chair fast, click here. And make sure to check out the links below for more information that's relevant to this video in particular. Again, I'm Lauren, and if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friend, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.